WIBTA if I accepted an offer to work abroad against my husband's wishes? I am not the original poster. That is you, GoSeek23. She posted in r, am I the asshole? Mood spoiler. Happy ending. Less than. Original post. October 5th, 2023. I, F26. Got an offer from my boss to move abroad next year for 6 months to open a new branch of our agency and be a branch manager. It's a 2-hour flight away. It's an incredible offer to get at my age, and I worked my ass off for the past 2+ years as a project manager, team leader to get here. Started off as the former role. Organically became the latter one as well. I'd have all expenses with the move covered. It's a dream come true for me career-wise. Here's the issue. My husband, M29, doesn't want to move. He's about to have an exam in December to finally get all necessary qualifications for his profession. Think like bar exam in the US. His salary would go up and he'd be able to be independent. But only in our country. I'm not sure he'd be able to find a job abroad, and he really doesn't want to move. I am making 3x his salary and we'd still live comfortably. But understandably he doesn't want a break in his career, especially when it's finally going to take off. He wants to save as much as possible to buy a house, have kids, etc. I want the same, but not necessarily now. Perhaps in a year or so. We don't have enough saved to do it earlier anyways, and I want to negotiate my salary for the new position so that we would still be on track with all these plans. For a little context, he's always been more domestic. Doesn't care to learn more languages or travel, which is fine. I, on the other hand, consider myself more of a cosmopolitan person. I speak 3 foreign languages and am currently learning a 4th one. Always dreamed of international career, whether it's about being able to travel or just move abroad. During our relationship I did move abroad twice for more than a year. So we know that long-distance relationship is doable. But when I came back 3 years ago we discussed that we don't want that anymore. So I stayed. When we talked about the opportunity, he instantly became cold and short with me. We are speaking etc. normally. But anytime the topic comes up, he gets annoyed, doesn't say no to me going alone, or with our dog, but isn't happy for me nor wants me to go. Thus, WIBTA if I accepted the offer? Edit. Same day. Okay, I see a lot of comments that were not compatible due to him wanting to stay and me going abroad. When we met we both wanted to live abroad. He was meant to finish his degree and join me. But turns out you can't find job in his field outside of the country unless you're a genius. Neither me nor him knew that. It's not like he hates traveling. He simply can't due to his work. Yeah, he's now used to that. Me not so much. 3 years ago when we came back so that he could continue his career we agreed to stay in one place for a longer time. Until that point him or both of us moved at least once every year. Either together or one of us. It wasn't a promise that neither of us would go anywhere ever. It's been 3 years in one city. The longest I've ever lived in one city since childhood. Do what you want with that. Just wanted to clarify some things. Relevant comments. This exchange. Top comment. If you turn it down, you'll think about it forever. That will inevitably lead to what ifs, which will then lead to regret, and that will lead to resentment of your BF for holding you back from your dreams that you'll break up. Feel dumb and resent yourself instead. Follow your dreams if your relationship can't withstand something so positive that you've always wanted and what could arguably be considered the best thing that's ever happened in your professional life. Then it's not the right relationship for you. Neither of you oughta. Life just happens. Good luck. Oop. Thank you so much. That's the thing, this offer is a positive thing for me and the reaction I get from him is only resentment, which is just sad. If he said I'm very happy and proud, But XYZ, then we can discuss logistics and decide whether it's doable or not. I'd be more than happy for a discussion. But when he's angry he closes himself and there's no point in talking. But if you leave this marriage for the job, you may regret that too. My husband comes first. I quit my job abroad and came back to our home country to be with him. I do not want to leave this marriage for this nor any job. I'm hurt that he becomes cold and distant whenever the topic comes up instead of just sitting down and talking. I need to give an answer within a few days and there's no luck in any conversation with him. More on what they wanted when they first started dating and what changed. When we started dating he was open to move abroad and we had plans to move to our neighboring country, where he had worked previously and where his father lives. He changed his attitude after getting into his dream faculty that meant he would be more tied into place than me. When we met he didn't believe in himself and that he could pass the entry exams. I literally pushed him into practice and try. He's really good at it. But to work abroad in this field you have to be absolutely brilliant. We both didn't know the hardships of that before. If he wanted to he could try. But it would be much more difficult than for me. He was still very supportive of my dreams. As for me, the field has changed but the cosmopolitan attitude to life hasn't. He always said it's STH that drew him to me and that he's still very impressed with my dedication. This past year I feel like he started to want even more stability, like buying a house and have kids. I'm not saying no, but I did say that I want to travel to 2 places before kids, as I wouldn't be able to do that for 15 plus years if not now. You basically told him, we're moving, no wonder he's cold. You want him to drop everything for you. No, I didn't. I wouldn't expect him to drop everything and move. LDR is a thing. Did you apply for this job or just randomly get it? It's within my company, so I didn't apply. My boss offered it. How long is this? It's 6 months max. I'm meant to set the branch up for success and independence and come back. If they need more help we can cooperate remotely, as the company works this way 90% of time anyways. I wouldn't move until at least January. And yes, I don't see myself living in that country for longer. Mostly it's a big career jump for me. He's set on not even looking for jobs there, as he's sure he wouldn't find any. He recently said that he wants to quit his current job and try freelance as my salary makes it safe to do so. I brought this up saying he could freelance from there, but he said just no. So I think it's a question of me staying or going long distance for this time. Can you offer to go without him for 6 months? I did offer that he stays and I go. He didn't say no but wasn't happy with it neither. I could come back even more often as the flights are inexpensive. OOP is voted no. Update post. October 10th, 2023. 5 days later. Thank you for all of the replies. Some of them were wild. But hey, that's what you get on Reddit, I guess. On to the update. After reading your guys' comments I decided to wait until Sunday to sit down and talk. That way both me and my husband could have space to process our emotions. I noticed that my excitement was clouding my judgment, and reading how many of you were saying that my job is more important than him really made me take a step back from thinking about the possibilities and focus on the present. Plus I had to leave for the weekend to attend a course in another city. So Sunday seemed a good time. After I came back, my husband picked me up and almost immediately said, "Let's go." I didn't get what he meant, so I asked where and he said, "Let's move to the country. I just have 2 conditions. One is that you will have a proper contract that states every single expense the company will cover, and that you wait until my exam to make a final decision on the specifics. As for now I can't process thinking about the move. I have too much on my plate." I was floored. Asked him if he was sure and what about his job and career. He said that yes, he's sure. as he also wanted to live in that country for a while someday, and this seems like a good moment. That he will be able to find something, and if not, then we'll still be fine as long as it's only 6 months. Yesterday I talked with my boss and asked if we can come back to the planning in December, as it would still give us enough time to organize everything until March, his deadline for the project to start. Explained to him that my husband needs to focus on his exam now, so we won't be able to plan the move. Fortunately, he understood, and after a bit of back and forth said that the offer is on the table before Christmas. Perhaps very anticlimactic for everyone, suggesting divorce or me leaving to be a girl boss I always wanted to be. But life is about balance and compromise. Sometimes just not between the parties that we thought. It's not me versus my husband, but us against the world. Or at least my boss's request to decide about such a huge thing in a week. Especially that it wasn't my goal in this company. This is literally the first time someone other than a co-owner would leave for months to open a new branch. So yeah, that's all. Thanks again. Relevant comments. You didn't compromise anything for your husband. I compromised with my boss on the deadline, not with my husband. That's true. But my husband isn't someone to be forced to do things he sees no benefit in. He actually likes the country a lot and is excited that we can move there with all expenses covered. I think he was shocked and scared at first, which is understandable. Who would even hire him for 6 months? In his field, job is project-based, and it's not unusual to work somewhere just for a couple of months. If the roles were reversed and you heard him bragging on Reddit about compromising, would you feel good about that and respected? Put yourself in his shoes. But I bet you won't, because you're not willing to do any introspection. I don't know if you're projecting here or what, but my husband is a grown man who doesn't need babying and can make his own decisions, such as with him wanting to move and having certain conditions. He always thinks carefully before deciding on something, and when that moment comes, he has decided. If I went to him and started asking if he was sure, whether he feels pressured, etc., he'd be like, I gave you my stance. Did I not? Then stop digging. When he says a hard no, it's a hard no, and I respect that. When I say, absolutely not, guess what? He also stops pushing. In this situation, he simply needed time to come back with, yes. Hard no. Yes, but what if he said hard no to the move or LDR? I'd probably sulk for a while, but stay. Once my initial excitement wore out and the feedback I got put me back on the ground, I agree that it's a lot to ask and wouldn't be okay to push against him. This exchange. Commenter. Would it console you to hear him say you're a grown woman that can make her own decisions? You really don't want to imagine how you'd react at all, do you, if he accepted a position without your counsel? You don't actually care if YTA, because you got exactly what you wanted. Like most Oz do. Oop. Yes, it actually would console me. Because that's exactly what he always said when anyone tried to push me to do something. It shows that both me and him can make our own decisions, and we respect them. Us staying together is each our own decision since day one. And I already answered the reversed roles in the original post. He did get offers to work abroad previously, and I was always for it. I see though that you already have your opinion and nothing will change it. So I might be an AH for you, and that's fine. But I won't engage in further discussion. Not everyone has to agree with my relationship dynamics. But it works for us. 6 months for a 3x pay increase? GTFO here with the drama, it's half a year. Jesus wept. What the hell is up with these comments? Fucking Reddit really hates to see a couple work out their differences, don't they? They act like she's forcing him to give up his career and live in her closet for the rest of his life, not agreeing to take what very well might end up being a 6-month holiday for him. It would be a literally dream for me to be in his position. Those comments are wild. You didn't compromise anything for your husband. Some people really do not understand the way compromise works. You don't compromise just for the sake of having compromised. And not every argument needs to end in a compromise. Besides, how would you compromise on this? Beyond what she already offered, did. It's not like she can only half move abroad or split herself in two and leave half behind. I like how this was resolved. I really thought the first post was premature. I felt Oop was catastrophizing when they hadn't had a chance to think and have a proper conversation. Minor grammar edit. Man, it's super obvious to see a lot of these people just don't know what a healthy relationship looks like. All of this argument for 6 months? 6 months is nothing. Husband could have stayed alone at home or go back and forth interviewing. Or take 6 months off. It's a huge deal for her career. Come on. And it's only 2 hours away, so she could travel or he could travel back and forth. The whole ordeal is ridiculous. All that fuss for 6 months? Man, those Redditors in the comment section suck big time. I'm glad Oop and husband figured it out. I don't understand the people who are still upset about it when obviously both Oop and husband seem quite happy. That's so dumb. Just because random Redditor would not be happy in this situation that doesn't concern them, doesn't mean Oop and husband didn't find a happy conclusion to this. Ultimately, I think they definitely decided right. It's a very temporary move for a lot of money. But if they'd both happily decided differently than what I would have decided, that still would have been a happy ending if they both felt good about it. They both feel good about what they decided. Yet random strangers on Reddit are pressed that, what, he compromised more than her? They came to a good conclusion that feels good for them both. They got there while being respectful of each other. Man, this was intense, and not because of the couple's conflict. The comments and trolls were more invested and more angry than both affected parties. Did none of these commenters get hugged as children? That ending part where they were so mad he decided he wanted to go but with some conditions that allowed him to get his schooling done left me really hushed face. Redditors. Americans? And their obsession with being respected in their relationships is just insane. I live that it was a happy outcome for both of them, and random Redditors are like, but what about my feelings on your marriage? Quote, I'm really happy for them. They both want to go now. I dunno what all the commenters are so tetchy about. A lie. I know. Sexism and thwarted schadenfreude. Wowza. The comments are wild. But honestly, it all seemed reasonable between the Oop and her husband, especially once they'd got over the initial shock. The way some of the comments were reacting, it was like the move would have been semi-permanent. But it's 6 months when they've already lived apart. Would it suck? Definitely. Does it sound like an opportunity that doesn't come around every day? Also definitely. Glad they worked it out. When they say marriage is a compromise, it doesn't mean you have to do it evening you agree. What is with everyone shrieking at her? A 6-month role for 3x the pay is a no-brainer. Even her husband could see that. Prioritizing your job over your spouse is just good sense in some cases. Honestly, if their marriage couldn't handle 6 months of long distance, then IDK if they are made for the long run anyway. They don't have any kids yet, and it's only a 2-hour flight. That should have been doable. All this drama for 6 months, tears of joy. The increase in pay makes it so much worth it. He might have cut down the discussion because he wanted time to think about it. I tend to do this. I don't want to discuss stuff until I've had time to think about it.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. WIBTA is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.